Okay, we're live on Facebook and YouTube. I'm just going to play the intro and let people come in and share through the network. And then I'm going to pull Josh up here. All right, we got Joshua Pearson, my brother. He's in the house. I'm going to pull him up here now. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on out there. A lot of energy coming down. Another whiteout on the Schumann resonance. We're getting suppressed a little bit, even though we're broadcasting live on 5 platforms. So if you can share this out just to one page or to your page, that'd be really cool. Okay. Here we go. Start video. You're coming in. There you are.
There we go.
What's happening, man? What's going on?
Not much. How's it going?
Pretty good. Just rolling and tumbling. Like the old blues song. You're looking different, man, since the last time we talked a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, my hair's gotten a little bit longer, so I had to do something else with it.
I mean, like energetically, it's
Oh,
different. You're just
oh,
looking
well,
at,
yeah.
yeah, your hair. I mean, it's a reflection of it, but I mean, like, looks like you've been birthed.
I've been working on incorporating new personality aspects.
Oh, really?
hmm
Say that again?
I've been working on incorporating new personality aspects.
Oh, what does that
So I've
entail?
been,
What is that? What is
uh,
that?
it's basically shifting my personality, changing myself at my core programming.
Yeah. So like removing, kind of like removing what you don't want and removing, I mean, and I guess bringing in from the infinite pool what you want, something like that.
Yep, yep, that's exactly right. Just reprogramming myself based off of a preset
Yeah,
uh, personality profile.
right on. And the last time we talked, it was the first time you were like, not that you're not humble because you're very humble, but I mean, you were like, dude, I had no idea it was going to look like this. So now it's
Yeah,
2 or 3 weeks later. Have you integrated that? Is it still
I mean,
blowing your mind?
it is. It's still pretty crazy. Um, I gotta say, I'm really enjoying the show though. Like,
Yeah.
this is some of the best entertainment that you could probably get from anywhere.
Isn't that
So,
right? Yeah, they had
mhm.
we had a dragon show today. That was cool.
Heck
There's
yeah.
yeah, but like just people talking about what they're experiencing is like,
Mhm.
I don't know, man, it's gold. And then I saw this post last night. Morgan showed me, this lady wrote, and she transmitting, downloading, whatever, and it said, that part of what's going to happen is kind of like what you're doing, but on a grand, on the global scale. The personalities that aren't real are being removed, such as the mainstream media, and programming
Mhm.
like this will be mainstream.
Yep.
I think we're going to see a lot of crazy changes like that.
I think so too. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not entirely sure how they're all going to incorporate, but if if what's happened so far is any indication, it's going to be a heck of a show.
Right. Are you talking about with your personal transformation or both? And global?
Both.
Both, yeah. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
just over the past few days, really, like with myself, there's been a lot of shifting, and honestly, it's probably been held back for a little while. I've probably kind of pushed it off, put it off, not really wanting to deal with it at the time, but I've I've taken the time to catch up. It's all at once is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, like I think we talked about this too last time, but like the energetic impact of the quarantine and all the stuff, whatever, all that,
Mm-hmm.
the energetic impression, like I think there's a lot of people doing that, I guess is another way to say it.
Yeah.
And I think the energy is not just supporting that, and it's encouraging it. And if it has to, it might even kick you in the ass a little bit, right?
Yeah.
To get you,
Yeah.
get you on the right track. But I think there's a lot of people doing that.
No, I think so too. That's that's what I'm kind of feeling in the energy that I'm
Yeah.
picking up on the old.
Yeah, like this guy that was just on a minute ago, he was talking about that. Greg Prescott. He's got a show most every night in 5D Spirit Chat. He just gets, 10, 12, 15, 20 people in a room, and they just start talking about what's happening for 3 hours, 4 hours.
Nice.
So have you, did you get direction, from your inner self or higher self or whatever you want to call it, to start cleaning up the house and bring stuff into alignment? Or did you just get to a point where you're like, man, I don't know what's happening, I'm just going to go to work on me?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. I mean, I could feel it coming, and I knew what needed to be done, but I have a habit of procrastinating, so I put it
Right.
off as long as I could.
Yeah, I think it's game time now.
It is.
I think
It
that's
is.
I think that's what it's come down to.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
It's do or die, all or
yeah.
nothing at this point.
So I might have asked you this last time, but I mean, I would think that you had some idea. Well, I did ask you last time. And that's when you said, um, yeah, you knew there was going to be something like this happening for a long
Mm-hmm.
time, but you didn't know it was going to be like this.
Yeah,
But I mean,
I didn't know the scale
yeah,
and like how it was going to play out, and not it didn't fall within my expected parameters. I'll say that much.
what about now? It's crazy because uh, they're just one contrasting message coming after another. I mean, it's like I just walked in,
Mhm.
I came back from the drugstore and walked in, and a friend of ours sent us a video of the White House briefing, but it was when the thing was over, but they left the mic on. And the guy's like, "Oh, you can take that mask off now." And then they
Mm.
started talking about some of the statistics and how they weren't correct, and and then the next thing you know, you're hearing something totally opposite. So it's like
Hmm.
moving us into a space of serious self-reliance, I guess, and discernment.
Yeah. No, I have to agree. It's really strange because there's so much, and there's been a lot of mixed information for years now, but
Yeah.
it started to die down a little bit, and now it's really gotten bad again. And I think it's the final wave of everything. I think that's why it's like it is. That final pushback, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah. I keep seeing it like a bathtub that's draining when the last bit of the water gets sucked down the drain,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
it's moving faster too. But,
Hmm.
but it's like,
Well, I've said before that as this goes, it's going to start moving at a progressively faster rate.
yeah. Yeah. I think it's already started, and I
Hmm.
think it's affecting, well, I think there's more people. What only makes sense. I mean, it may be everybody, but that are more conscious, more present. I mean, like not because they want to or they're cool or they're smart, but because they have to be.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of options have been shut down, and
Hmm.
it's kind of like a little metaphor, microcosmic metaphor of our whole trip. Like having no memory, and
Yeah.
what is life and what am I, and the dog chasing its tail.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely it's definitely forced people to focus on different things. Everything that's been going on lately, and that's one of the things I knew was going to happen. But like I said, I didn't know how it was going to happen.
Yeah, yeah,
It turned into some good entertainment.
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And it's coming like in waves too.
Hmm.
But it's also a metaphoric parallel to what's happening within ourselves too, because I think people are they're starting to look at their stuff one way or the other, whether they're open to it or not. Have you had anything happen in the last 2-3 weeks? Like, I mean, have you had any connections or meditations or dimensional stuff that's happened that's kind of stands out?
Um, I mean, not that I can really think of that stands out too much over the past few weeks.
Mm,
Uh, it's I don't know if it's just I'm not remembering quite as much because of everything going on, but it almost seems like things have slowed down on that end of things for
mm,
right now.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm still trying to figure out which one it is, whether it's just overload or it has actually slowed down for me.
Yeah.
But
What about the personality process, the deprogramming and reprogramming? What's that look like for you? I mean, do you like? I mean, you obviously. I know you're a thinker, and you think you constantly have that going. But do you have
yeah,
like any process or anything that you use to like
yeah,
release what you don't want?
yeah. I've played around with programming before. Like I've made programs before and toyed around with viruses that could do different things and stuff like that. So I got an idea of how uh, the code is, how the syntax of it, how it's laid out. So I kind of break it down into a rough format like that. Only instead of like words or numbers or something like that, it's more like concepts and emotions
Mm,
being the factors of the equation.
yeah, kind of like thinking without words, thinking your way through it without
Yeah,
words. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I can relate to
It's
that.
a lot more open-minded, generalized method,
Yeah,
and it creates a more open perspective. You don't want to narrow it too much.
yeah. I think
That's
one
just
of the,
limiting yourself.
yeah, yeah. I think one of the things that people are grappling with, and how could you not be? I mean, but it's front and center too. Is some of the stuff that's coming out, disclosure wise, and of course the big thing is trafficking and
Yeah.
all the horrible stuff from a human perspective that goes with it. Where do you stand with that stuff? How does Josh Pearson handle that? Like, where do you put that? Are you cool and integrated with everything out there that's in your consciousness?
I'm honestly, for a long time, I've not really been sure what to believe. The only thing I really believe is what I personally experienced. The rest of it, I kind of treat as hearsay.
Yeah, true.
Uh, Personally, I don't know if we're ever going to know the full truth of everything that's been going on. But I do know from what I've seen in the energy and the way that it's flowing that there is a lot going on and there's a lot of bad that's being brought to the surface and brought to an end.
Yeah,
Uh, as far as what form that's in, I'm not sure.
yeah, I get you.
It
Well,
would,
we're talking energy, and you're talking straight energy, so people can paint whatever picture they want along with it. But I
yeah,
get what you're saying.
yeah.
Um, when
It
you look,
wouldn't surprise me though.
yeah, when you look at the energy, does it look? Does it? I'm just curious. This is just how my mind works. Does it look like the energy, that bad energy, is being like extinguished or removed from the premises, or does it look like it's an energetic transformation?
Well, any bad that's brought to the surface, whether it be energy or situation, it's it's bound to be purged, to be cleansed. And that in itself is a form of transmutation.
Yeah, true.
Uh, as far as like specifics, it's kind of a mix. Uh, some of it's being straight purged, and some of it's being directly transmuted. Um, I haven't been able to distinguish like any individual minor aspects of it, though. It's just the
Yeah.
main stuff. There's so
No, I get
much
what
of
you're
it.
saying. I get what you're saying because, like, if you're looking at it straight energetically,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it would look one way, and then on more closer to the surface, it's going to look another way because
Yeah.
you have less ability to see things at that
Mm-hmm.
level. Um,
Yeah.
have you like, I know you are an interstellar dimensional traveler, and that's been part of your life. Have you picked up on any specific energies that are here that are assisting us that stand out or anything like that? Because
Um,
there's a lot of talk about the star family, obviously.
well, I will say that there's been a lot of activity nearby. Uh, there's it's like there's building for something. Um, Hell, almost every time I look up into the sky, I swear I see a ship
Yeah,
of some form or another. Um, it's it's weird because I'm not exactly sure how to explain it, but it's we're on the precipice of a massive like physical shift, and it's I'm not sure how it's going to take, but I really think that there's going to be other species involved in that, like making their presence known,
yeah,
because
yeah,
it's that's what it feels like the energy is building to.
yeah. That's interesting. Almost like it's been going on. Let's just say,
Mhm.
and we weren't. Most of us were not sensitive enough to see it. We were
Yeah.
probably all affected by it, but as we've kind of awakened, it's like they can kind of bleed in now.
Hmm.
But and then the other thing that you're saying too, which I think is becoming more and more evident every day, is you said there's going to be a huge physical transformation, and
Yeah.
that carries a lot of impact, man. I mean, we're talking about
Hmm.
the human body, we're talking about the physical matter that
Yeah.
composes our realm. I mean, not to mention the introduction of
Yeah.
things that are now visible that were not.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Exactly.
that's
That's
a
the big one that's going to get a lot of people.
yeah.
So,
And then
yeah.
there's always going to be that well, I don't know if there's always going to be, but at this point there's that parallel illusionary false narrative running. So
Hmm.
if I saw, maybe even if I saw what you saw or see, um, if I saw a ship and it landed, I still wouldn't trust it. I mean, I'm still going to go
Exactly.
with my gut because there is a Project
Yeah.
Bluebeam, and 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 that's what's so crazy too. Not only are we having to look at ourselves, and a big part of looking at ourselves is being, like you said it earlier, being more open and being open,
Hmm.
but that also applies to the possibility of our experiences. And if something occurs that, like, we think it's nirvana, you
Hmm.
might want to take a few breaths and count to 10 before you make that judgment.
Yeah. Yes. Don't be hasty in any judgments for sure.
No, no. But the cool thing is, I think too, is that as more and more people, feel what I call the I am soul, like feel eternal body, their light body, whatever you want to call it, their spirit, and they really embody the fact that, you know, I'm not dying. You know, there is no death. I think
Yeah.
that's going to remove a lot of this, and maybe it's already started. You know, remove a lot of this cartoonish stuff that's going on.
Yeah. I think it started. I'm pretty sure I've seen the signs of it starting anyways.
Yeah.
And that's because that's one of the things that I've been looking for to drop, because that's going to help cause, or it's going to help push this change along quite a bit. It's going to open the door for different aspects of it. And
Yeah,
then
and I get, yeah,
that fear of death, it's just a limiter.
yeah, yeah. It's like the big domino,
Hmm.
and then it, you know, and then it seems like you said, yeah, you think it's already started. I do
Hmm.
too, and a lot of people out there, you know, there's stuff that they're putting out there, videos and posts are aligning with this too, and it's becoming really obvious too that there's a correlation between the work that we're doing on ourselves
Hmm.
by force or by flow due to the circumstances is, you know, is energetically creating you know, something that,
Yeah.
you know, occurs on the energetics first and then in the physical plane. But I got to believe that since this quarantine started, well, I mean, the evidence is out there. You're seeing stuff being disclosed every day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, and like I said, there's going to be a lot of people that will deny a lot of stuff. So there's going to be a lot of information that it's going to be contradictory, and it's going to be really hard to discern for a while what the truth actually is. And like I said, I don't know if we'll ever know the full truth of what's the full extent of what's been going on.
Yeah, 8 billion people, 8 billion truths.
Mm-hmm. Yep. A different one for every perspective.
No kidding. No kidding. So you've been watching a little bit of Soulgy while you've been quarantined. Have you picked up on any other shows or programs or platforms?
Uh, Not yet. I've been trying to get things going. I've been doing research and stuff. Uh, since I've been quarantined this week, I've been working on looking at getting a forge operational. I'm gonna look at starting to make some jewelry, melting down some metal, and maybe even making some knife blades and stuff.
All
Start
right.
working with a forge and finish getting everything upgraded on the computer so that I can get ITB
All right.
going. So,
You're
it's,
going big time.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that
Well,
too.
this is cool too, and I think that's another thing that's happening too is people are you know, stepping into something that they're more fluid with, that they
Mhm.
like better. You
Yeah.
know, I'm hearing about people, you know, they're getting laid off, and you know, I started doing
Hmm.
this, and I always wanted to, and you know, I don't know,
Hmm.
man. There's a lot of positive.
It's a perfect opportunity.
Yeah,
It's a good time to find yourself and pursue your interests while you don't have anything else, any other obligation. Like
true.
it's, I mean, yeah, you've got family, but let's be honest, like you can make time for yourself. It's just
Absolutely,
making time.
absolutely, you can. You better believe it.
Hmm.
That's one of the big keys.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're just driving yourself crazy.
Right on. Yeah. Even if you're in a relationship, you got to have that. Everyone's got to have that time. That's where all the work's done,
Yeah.
really.
Hmm. Yep.
I mean, you can, you know, in your day to day interactions and functioning, you know, that ball's always rolling for all of us, you know.
Absolutely.
But I mean, if you think about like matching energies, or you know, like if it's Christmas time and you take a look at the energy around the world, you might see a bunch of Santa Claus energy. And right
Yeah.
now, but I would imagine if it's not a holiday, you know, something that the whole world, you know, kind of has a common denominator, that there's a big mix. But right now, I would imagine there's not too many energies that are there's more common denominators and fewer, you know, fewer things that are not aligned with it, given the circumstances, because they're worldwide circumstances. So
Yeah.
energetically, what a gift.
Yeah. No, it's gotten a lot easier to read some of the more subtle because it's all kind of started to white out. There's not as much activity, so there's not as much energy being distributed. There's not as much uh, energy pollution,
Yeah,
what you could refer to it as. So you can read from a lot further distance
yeah. That's a
and in a lot more detail.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Because if you look at the narratives, some of the narratives that align, we're essentially our energy has been food,
Hmm.
sustenance for fourth dimensional non-manifester type energies, archons, whatever. So if you had, so it's basically energetically, if that's true, let's just say that
Yeah.
energetically, if that's true, we're starving whatever was, you know, consuming us.
Yeah, it's like hitting the reset button.
Mm, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Definitely. Now the
Sometimes after
question,
you purge a virus, you got to reset the system.
yeah, wipe it clean.
Hmm.
I like what you said too, though, like energy pollution, because I
Yeah,
mean, you can see, touch, feel, that,
absolutely.
that's like that makes total sense. I mean, look at all the metaphoric or the physical representations of that, including the pollution levels dropping not only
Hmm.
drastically but almost immediately in like LA and
Yeah,
China and places like that. So that's got to be reflected in the energetic field.
yeah, noticeable differences visually in 24 hours or less. Like it's. I think this is really going to kind of open people's eyes to at how efficient this system actually is, because people underestimate it so much. But there's cycles to it, and there's patterns that it goes through, and that's why I've always laughed at the global warming fanatics and climate change activists and all of that stuff. Like it's cycles. We don't even have the history of a small portion of one of those cycles.
True.
So because there's a lot of uh, old mythology and lore in ancient religions that I've read before saying that this earth has gone through multiple life cycles, and these are orally passed down
Yes.
traditions
Yeah, absolutely.
that were finally translated or transcribed onto paper at some point. But they were saying that the earth has gone through multiple life cycles and that each life cycle is at least 10,000 years old. So every 10,000 years or so, there's a grand like weather shift event, ice age, which I'm pretty sure they've actually seen that in the core crust studies and stuff
Yeah.
that they've done. So
Yeah, it's like natural.
it lends a lot of credibility to a lot of that old oral tradition.
True. Yeah, well, that's, one of the things that you would think. It's no different than like, what you're doing, what you said at the top of the show about the personalities releasing and
Mhm.
installing,
Yeah.
deprogramming and programming, reprogramming.
Mhm.
But like uh it's well, it's just because the what's the story, right? I mean, it's like you
Yeah.
brought up the climate thing, and it looks to me, even like what you're saying, it even affirms that, like it's controlled opposition, like it's a setup, it's propaganda.
Yeah.
Like it's all such a game of consciousness. Like who controls the consciousness? You know what I mean? It's like that power of suggestion and
Yeah.
placebo and all all that stuff. It I guess at the end of the day, we just have to take control of ourselves, and that's really where we're all headed. I just wonder, as you talk about these cycles of the earth, are our cycles set up with them? Do you think? I mean, do you think that?
Well,
Um,
from everything that I've read and from what I understood, along with information I've gotten from the library, the records, uh, there's this is the last one of the cycle. This After this, it's gonna break into a whole new.
yeah,
series of cycles. So
Yeah.
it's basic like stage two,
Yeah.
or I guess what stage 5 or 6, whatever we're on now.
Yeah. Yeah. To
But
me,
it's not gonna change like the previous ones did, because the
mm,
previous ones were large natural disasters, like usually ice ages. I think there was a meteor on one of them, but this one's going to be different. It's going to be a shift into a more golden age, and that's going to start a different kind of cycle.
that sounds pretty cool to me. Do you think that our frequencies individually and collectively are matching that cycle, like naturally, whether it's a little bit of force or flow, and or do you think that we're creating it? I'm just curious.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
We have the ability to create it, so we can shape it as it goes. But if we're not consciously a part of that creation process, we kind of just get pulled along.
Yeah.
You can fight the process, but that's only going to drive you crazy.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth? We've all been there.
Yeah. Yes.
And I wonder too,
Absolutely.
like you said too, you said what you're picking up on is there's a huge physical change.
Mhm.
And like I was saying, physical, that involves everything, physical matter. But I guess front and center of that is the human body.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's like I can feel my body more than ever rapidly changing these last 2 days, man. Like, I mean,
Well, I
I'm,
think the main thing is people are being forced to become more aware of their bodies.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh, he had a phone call.
uh,
He's back.
my bad.
Yeah, you're good.
Phone messing up. I've always been very like attentive to my personal body
Mm,
because being a programmer, I saw how the mind worked, like the processor that ran the entire system. So I figured if I could convert that into a biological system, it would be really easy to consciously control it and rewrite myself. So I've always been very aware of my body and its state at any given point in time. But I think everybody else is being pulled into that conscious state too of their physical form, and it's going to change the physical form quite a bit. Uh, it's going to be a lot more efficient. People are probably going to physically change quite a
mm.
bit over the next year or two as well
Oh, that's cool.
to accommodate that. So,
I'm looking forward to my hair being black again.
hey, there you go.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I wonder if
Well, and
I'll
then
go back to blonde.
I saw, I don't know if I talked to someone the other day or I was watching something or reading something, and they were talking about the prospect. And of course, it's so difficult to talk about these things because there's so many things involved,
Yeah,
spirit, science, the whole 9 yards.
yeah,
But they were basically saying, like, in essence, that everything that came from source was created, right?
yeah,
And you can start to have like a, well, like in our case, we're physical matter. So you can start to have this progression of, indirect links, even though it's direct to source, let's just say. But like that the human part of us, the human species, the bodies that we're housing with our spirit or soul, whatever you want to call it,
mm,
are, in human terms, AI that is self nurturing. Well, that's kind of like made in the image,
yeah,
and that in this article or whatever it was, they were talking about how the universal family looked at us, and they may be like in higher levels of intelligence and all these other things, right? But that our capacity and our potential is like nothing that's ever been seen,
yeah.
and that resonates with me.
Well, there's been a lot of issues with moving from a higher energetic plane of existence to a physical plane that we reside on. Uh, that hasn't been the easiest thing to do.
Mm,
And as we can see, the biggest cost to it is usually memories from before moving to the physical plane. Uh, I think part of this process that we've been going through is upgrading the physical form to be able to handle all of that. So it's very possible that these physical forms will move into a more kind of permanent style, not necessarily like us being bound to them, but them lasting longer.
Yeah.
Because right now they're not perfect; they're not self-sustained.
Yeah.
They still degrade over time, which I also think that's partly because of the flaws created when we come to this plane. But I think that's a big part of what's going to be changing as far as the physical goes,
Mm.
and I think that's where the physical is going to see the most change. So it's very possible that a lot of people could start remembering previous lifetimes as well as in between lifetimes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And retaining the information, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do
Because
you think that?
all of those memories, they're stored in your energy, in your
Yeah.
soul. They're in your field around you. You just don't have access to them under normal circumstances because of the process transferring you down. It locks a lot of that out. You can't handle all of that. I think that process is being reversed, so all of those memories are going to start unlocking.
Yeah. Which is, I guess it's all tied together.
Mm-hmm.
That's like you said, the body has to upgrade,
Yes.
and as it upgrades, this is what occurs. What kind of impact do you think that's going to have on people? Like, say there's, I don't know, 10 million conscious or awake people, or it doesn't even matter what the number is. What do you think the impact would be to have like memories coming in from past lives and in between lives, in terms of our experience?
Well, it would be difficult to gauge the impact of that because that's uh, that's moving closer to the true higher self being on the physical.
Yeah.
So there's really no way to truly predict the outcome, but that would essentially be all of the timelines converging together.
Yeah.
Uh, and at that point, those that are conscious are probably going to have access to abilities that we couldn't even imagine right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes
So
sense. That
if
makes a lot of sense.
they're going to have the full understanding of the true nature of this physical universe.
Yeah.
So being the biological machine that we're writing in, we'll be able to manipulate that consciously. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting.
Do you think that, and I don't want to get into the whole back to the, the stuff that, who knows what's going on or
Yeah.
if we'll ever know. But I mean, just in
Right.
terms of interest, do you think that there is a group, or are there people, even individually, that have full blown access, like we're all going to soon have, if that's what happens? And um, I mean, do you think it's something that's known, maybe in whatever elite circles, or could even be some religious sect, or you know primitive,
Uh,
you know
I believe so.
yeah.
I believe there are not just one, but probably multiple groups out there that have discovered methods of manipulating the physical world with their conscious mind, and they keep it secret because, I mean, imagine how powerful that could be. What
Mm-hmm.
you could do with that. You could literally do anything with it. So I mean, you'd be able to manipulate all of the energy around you. You'd be able to manifest anything from thin air. You'd be limited by your imagination is really all it boils down to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it would be it would definitely be something that until these current processes are through will likely be kept secret
Yeah.
because there's just too much that can be done with that, and that would break the system.
unless
And
it's unless it just comes through individuals, like
Yeah, and it
individuals
very
that have,
well.
yeah,
It's honestly the way I'm expecting it to. Not
yeah,
necessarily an activation in everybody over time or at once or whatever,
yeah,
but certain people designated for that task will be
yeah, yeah,
relaying that information.
yeah, like almost like they wouldn't have a choice, or they may not even need to say anything, because if enough
Hmm.
people's abilities get to a certain level, they're going to know anyway through the telepathic field, through the,
People can already do that.
yeah,
I've been experimenting with that for years, uploading information into the field for years, and it doesn't take long. It it works, and it's widespread active right now, and
yeah.
has been for at least a decade.
So
So,
get just so everybody understands what you're saying, can you give me an example?
like as far as what to do,
Like
or
you, yeah, up accessing, you know,
it's basically it would be like going into a kind of meditative state, focusing on the energy field around the planet, and then isolating the information that you want in your mind and pushing that into the energy field. And once it's in the energy field, it'll passively download to any open recipients to it, which honestly is the vast majority of the human race, because most
wow,
people are conscious of it, so they don't shut it off. If it is shut off, it's because society's programming shut it off, and that doesn't last long. It's not Society's not designed to shut that off for long. The imagination and the creativity is actually useful for the system that we have been utilizing up to this point.
I
So,
wonder, I wonder if that's why you're seeing the energy and describing the energy as you are, because more people are hitting the creative mode, because they're running out of things to
I think
do.
so. I think so. I mean, I said it before. The most important thing to do during all of this is to be creative.
Yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, if you're not going to do it yourself, you're going to be forced to do it. Like
yeah. Well, and think about
that's
it
how
too.
the universe is.
Yeah, think about it too. All these kids being kept at home, they're going to tap into their creativity and
Oh,
imagination.
absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
an upload.
Hmm.
Really.
Yes.
Hmm. So do you have any sense of what do you have any sense of what energetically or otherwise what the near future brings? Like just in the next, like in next 2, 3, 4 weeks. Are you picking up on
Um,
anything?
Not anything majorly specific. I mean, I'm not I'm not even really sure how long each of these steps is going to take. Uh, I guess that's because I haven't really looked at time until, or been interested in it until, I guess, recently. But um, it's going to be more integration until until those people start emerging, and probably well after that, can use those abilities. Like once they start emerging, that's going to kind of signal the end of the integration period.
Hmm.
And there's going to be a period of time where they continue to emerge, and then the it's going to slow down, and then it'll be people that are taught after that.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah, and then how everything occurs energetically first. So let's say you have an
yeah.
individual, and that individual is becoming more illuminated every day, however you want to call it, raising their frequency, and
Hmm.
so their frequency is sent out, and say it goes to 50 miles, 100 miles, 200 miles. It makes me wonder, because if you look at impact, or at least perceived impact, it's, oh, how famous are you, how many
Hmm.
people know you, are you a movie star, you look
Yeah.
at that, politicians. But I wonder if part of this change, this metamorphosis, is going to be like somebody that has a really let's say top 100, top 10 in the world kind of frequency is going to start to come into conscious awareness of, a proportionate number of souls that are in a human body.
There should be. Honestly, I expect all of the higher up elites to be corrupt, because that's usually how the systems end up, especially later on in the end of things. But I do expect some of the more popular people to start coming into this like realization, and that's when we're going to hit a new gear.
Yeah.
And after that, the integration shouldn't take very long at all.
Okay. So you're saying like people that are out there in the limelight, that once some of those start openly crossing over, so to speak, that's going to, and that's true.
Open a floodgate.
Yeah, that would have a big impact.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that take a lot of heed to what they say. So if celebrities start saying, or if one celebrity, even like a B or a C-list celebrity, starts saying, "Hey, start paying attention to this shit. This is what's going on. This is some important stuff here." There's going to be a lot more people that start looking at it, and it's going to start gaining a lot more traction. And as people start realizing this is the truth, that's going to help pedal it along.
Well, and then if you go back to the whole thing about, you were talking about, metaphorically, the virus. If it's a computer system, there's a virus. What do? You swipe it, and everything's getting swiped. So all the old programs are gone, and it's like, it's like, what do you do now? I think we're either there or we're approaching it very rapidly. Like, what do we do? Like, who's the leader? Like where's the program? Where's the agenda? It's like, I wonder what that's going to look like, or are we just going to know?
That's I'm not sure. It's gonna be interesting to see though. Yeah, I'm happy I get to see all this play out. This is a really interesting time to be alive,
isn't it? Yeah, and we all wanted to get the hell out of here at one
You're
time
right.
or another. I
Yeah,
wonder, at part of me, I wonder when somebody of substantial global, recognizable globally, that has, is going to stand up and like, put it out there, beyond like a B actor, or even, someone that's a regional.
I think that it will happen, but it's not going to be someone that we'd expect.
Right.
That's the impression I get from it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to be someone that would be completely unexpected, come out there, hey, this is it.
Yeah.
And then I think it's going to surprise all of us, even on who it is.
Well, and to come out, like, people have come out, there's whistleblowers all over the place. But I mean, like, for instance, if I saw some quotes that Mel Gibson made the other day, and I had known that he had made them and had been outspoken, but I read one of them and I was like, holy crap. I mean, he called it out in Hollywood, like, big time, but you don't see it out there. I think obviously part of that's because it's not mainstream, or not being encouraged by the mainstream, but I could see where whoever comes out is going to have to take it up a notch. They're not going to be able to just talk about, oh, well, this is there, that's there. Well, everyone knows it's there, or at least it's been out there, but it's like the higher stuff, like the other dimensional stuff, the other aspects of ourselves, however you want to put it, that involvement that's beyond the physical.
God. Yeah, of course. That'd be interesting to tune in for a State of the Union or something, or some speech from Trump, and he generates a portal and steps through it.
Yeah, right. Right. I mean, it's so truth is stranger than fiction.
Yep. Absolutely.
But some of the stories you hear, yeah, and it's crazy because some of the stories are crazy. But those usually the ones that have the truth, and then there's other ones
Hmm.
that look just as crazy that somebody created to make propaganda. But it's
Yeah.
just like I just want to see, like, even something as simple as what they call UFOs or
Hmm.
ETs or
Yeah.
extraterrestrial contact or extraterrestrial history. I mean, we've got
Yeah.
it all over our history. We can go back easily to Sumerian, the Dogon tribe, the Aborigines, the Native Americans.
Oh yeah.
But like somebody that gets up and just says, "Hey, oh, by the way," and I don't give a F what these people think, this is what's been going on, and I've got proof. Someone that could actually validate that.
Yeah. Yeah.
More,
That'd be interesting to see.
yeah.
I'd like that.
I would too, man. When I remember when Trump got elected, and
Hmm.
I I vote with my feet, and I have my whole life. I don't vote.
Hmm.
Uh, that's how I vote. But anyway, so
Yeah.
I don't have a attachment to either anybody. So, but when he got elected, it was I was on the road. I just gotten on the road. I was in Arkansas. I was actually in Arkansas, where you live. And I remember doing a video coming out of the shower because everybody was going crazy, and I thought, man, it's like, don't give your power up. Don't don't give up. Don't give all your power to a savior based program.
Yeah.
And whether it's true or not, I'm not taking anything away from Trump. But I made a video, one of my, when I used to get a little volatile, and I was like, show, I'm not going to believe anybody until they get up in front of a microphone with all the cameras rolling and tell it like it is.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do that? Because we
Yeah.
can't handle it. I mean, come on. Well, it doesn't matter now anyway because it's happening.
Yeah. Exactly. In one way or another, I get forced.
Right on. Well, man. So we might be seeing you soon. I don't know. We
Oh
don't know
yeah.
what's happening. Yeah, we don't know what's
That's
happening. Does anybody know what's happening?
always fun. I don't know anybody that does.
Yeah, I don't think
I
anybody
still
knows what's
don't
happening.
know.
If somebody tells me they know what's happening, then I know they don't know what's happening.
Hmm.
That's the thing. Probably the only thing that I would make an exception, I could be wrong, would be that everything we've been talking about. We're going through a
Right.
transformation. There's a huge physical aspect to it, which is probably the biggest part, or maybe it's the last part. I don't know. But those types of things.
Yeah.
This unspeakable, unwordable, unexplainable, telepathic, intuitive kind of thing that's going on in between the words that we're aware of. Some part of us knows it's real. Our body knows it's real. I mean, that's probably the only exception I'd make. You know.
Yeah. I have to agree. I have to agree. 'Cause
So real,
otherwise, it's just hearsay.
yeah. So I wanted to ask you. I wanted to go back to this. You said you're a programmer, right?
Yeah. Played
And
around with programming before.
yeah, just so, because I mean you boop 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 boop, you move like that. I can I just want to make sure everybody understands, because this is something that's very doable. And my wife is does the same thing, that. And
Yeah.
but when you say programming,
Hmm.
uh and in the example you gave, you actually were talking about even going to the extent of programming beyond yourself and programming the globe itself, or say
Yeah.
another composite energy.
Yeah.
Just a little bit on programming. When you call yourself a programmer, maybe just explain it just a little bit more so people understand what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's energy's like code, um, and you can put intention behind it, and the intention is the essence of the programming. Uh, so if you were to, like, say, put your hand on a necklace, focused on your energy, the visualization of energy flowing into that necklace, and then putting an intention behind that, you just wove an enchantment into that necklace.
Mm.
Magic is as simple as that. And doing that on a larger scale and within yourself, you can change how the energy flows, which changes how you think and how you feel. And you don't have to have all of the information on how it works. You
Yeah.
just have to know the end result that you want, and
Yeah.
then focus on that end result, and then let the images take control of themselves, basically, and it'll work itself out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got that last night. I talked about it a little bit on a previous show. When we laid down to do our thing, we just did it silently last night. And so I was trying to, when I first laid down, I could hear like some tones. So I just kind of like aligned with them. And then I was like, okay, what am I going to do tonight? Kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so I remember it had to do with where are we going? Not that I worry about it because I don't, but I was like, okay, like, I don't know what the right statement would be. Like, where are we going? Um, what's it going to look like? Kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so what happened was I started this train of thought, imagination, building, programming, but it was very natural. And I said, this is kind of how I see it going, right?
Hmm.
And then it started like the movie, and the movie started and it started showing me everything that went with that intention. And then the human kind of popped back in and said, okay, I need to keep this going. Like, what do I want this to look like? And what is
Hmm.
the, like, what is the office space look like? Or what does the home
Yeah.
look like? And I thought, oh, no, 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 no. And like the other voice came in, the higher self came in and was like, no, you already set the intention. That's it.
Hmm.
You don't have to be like super specific.
Yeah.
And I knew in that moment, as I watched that prophecy unfold, energetically, that it was done. It was done.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
people.
it's a lot simpler than, I mean, heck, even I was starting off looking for all the complicated methods I could find to try to figure out how to get it all to work. But
Mm,
really, it's a lot simpler than you'd ever expect.
yeah, and that's what. Okay, like as an example, I've had a lot of people on this show, 1,800 shows, and they've done a lot of activations, channelings, downloads. We mostly do conversations now, but occasionally we do it. We did it. We've done probably 2 or 3 in the last week or 10 days. And so the style, and I'm not knocking anybody. Some people are, they kind of convert, and I think that's part of how this stuff came in, and you identify with this angelic essence, and then you kind of embody because it is you. But like when we first did a show, the first show we did, you did an activation. It was like 3 or 4 minutes at the most, and that was what you're describing. It was just that
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
So
That that was, and when I've done those activations like that, it's the programming that I'm doing. I'm
yeah,
creating a intention program set. Basically, it's like a list of parameters, basically,
yeah, yeah.
and then uploading that, attached to some energy, and
So you that day you put it out there, and I think you
Mhm.
even said, "This is now available to you."
Yeah.
Like I've just put in, just like you talked about earlier, where you upload into the energy around the earth, and then it's there for those people that are receptive to it. Do you
Yeah.
do you want to do one now before we go? How do you feel about that?
I can.
Yeah, I think
I
that'd be
can.
cool. Just so people that hadn't seen it and experienced it, I think it'd be awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah, not a problem at all. All right, let me get a program planned out. All right. So I just formed the parameters, uh, decide what I want the main purpose to be, and then I focus my energy into a ball in my hand,
Hmm.
and then I focus on those parameters, that intention moving into that energy ball. And if you do it right, you should see it change colors in your mind, in your third
Wow.
eye.
Wow.
And then you release it into the energy field, and it'll float up into the energy field, merge with it, and then it's available.
What'd you make available? Don't tell us.
Huh?
Somebody said your hand was starting to glow.
Yeah, I saw that.
Trippy, man. Yeah.
It happens.
So we can, but I mean, we can do that. We can
Mhm.
take the parameters, you know, say 1, 2, 3. This is the main point. Here's a couple of supporting points. Boom.
Mhm.
Energetically put it into a ball. Energetically upload it into the collective.
Yes.
Yeah. Very
And
cool.
it's really that simple. And the main, that's why I say the main focus on when it is like coming to magic, it's feeling your energy, because all it is you're just changing energy.
Yeah.
You're changing its form and shape with your conscious mind.
Yeah.
You're using magnetics, because
Yes.
we're magnetic beings.
Yeah,
And
that's to me, that's where I kind of see where we're all at now. It's like or let's say collectively, it's like, so like I've learned to integrate and balance over the years with everything that comes my way, right? Some things might take a little while, but you know, the energy supporting us now. So it's like we've got enough of that done. Like, so like say there's something that seems very antagonistic or opposite of your mentality, and you end up becoming one or integrating it, equalizing it, whatever you want to call it. I feel like where we're at now, it's like we have that in our hand, just like your ball. Like now that we've come to the table, you know, and we've made that congruence, what do we want to what do we want to create? What do we want to turn this into? Like almost like, what do you want to turn our mutual love into? Boom. Right.
Yep.
That's kind of see how where we're at. That's what I was saying about you when you said about wiping the disc clean. Like, well, if you wipe the disc clean, what do you do? Where do we start?
Well, you've got a bunch of neutral energy. You can do whatever you want to.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. Like, and we don't have to consciously do any of it. Like, it's going to be created in the best possible way. So,
yeah,
I mean, we can consciously manipulate things, but we don't have to.
Yeah. True. True.
I think that's the most beautiful part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it seems so perfect to me.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like there never was any reason to start thinking. Just go do it. Go do and be it. Whatever. Yeah. Take the worry. Take the pain out. Yeah, I feel good. I feel like we're on the right track. I appreciate you coming in again, man. I look forward to the next time we do a show, and the next time I see you, which I'm not sure when that'll be, but who knows? Could be this coming month. It could be the next month.
Heck yeah.
I just don't want to. Yeah. Yeah. I just don't. Yeah. I mean, how do you make any plans in this scenario?
Exactly.
And I'm not just talking about these circumstances. I'm talking about the energy that we're all in.
Yeah. It's not something you can exactly plan around with how it's shifting.
No way. All right, brother. Give the kids a kiss.
Will do.
You take care. I'll talk to you. Bye-bye.